This app is supposedly more effective than a condom. Can it help prevent or plan a pregnancy? Today we're going to find out. Sorry, this is just my friend here. JC was luckily nice enough to share her data with me, and we're going to talk about Oura Ring Natural Cycles. Let's go grab some coffee. Me, JC, is a massive tech nerd, and I decided we should go to the most advanced coffee shop in New York City, but I don't know how to use it. A shot of espresso. Oh! Now whatever JC grabs will get charged to my card. Okay, we're gonna get one of these. Almond cranberry energy bites. You can take it. So as a male, because I'm not a woman, I don't feel like I can talk about these things. And as a person who loves testing technology, I had to get a friend. So JC, what is Natural Cycles?
Natural Cycles is an app that basically helps you prevent or plan pregnancy, but it also lets you know where you're at in your cycle so that you can better plan your workouts, you can cycle sync and know where you're at and how you can best support your body during that phase of your menstrual cycle.
We've been using this app for the past 3 months, right?
Yeah, so we've tested it for 3 months just to see, because sometimes it takes a while for it to get to know your body and like get to know how you use that.
And from what I understand in terms of how does the Natural Cycles app work, if you have an Oura Ring, it can use the body temperature sensor on the Oura Ring and send that data to Natural Cycles, or they'll ship you like a body temperature sensor and you can measure your body temperature right as soon as you wake up.
This is the thermometer that comes in the box.
This one is obviously fully automated, whereas doing it in the morning requires a little more effort and work and habit building.
Yeah, this has been like a way to plan and prevent pregnancy for a while, but it's just very clunky to have to wake up, take your temperature every single day, write it down or enter it in your notes app. So having the Oura Ring synced to the app is so seamless and you don't even have to think about it, which is good.
From what I read, supposedly they're going to integrate with other devices, because I know the Apple Watch Ultra has a body temperature sensor, the Whoop strap has a sensor, so if they can just aggregate and use all these devices and be agnostic, I think it'd be extremely valuable. This is an all-natural, hormone-free birth control. Like, why do you think it was so important for you to not use hormonal birth control?
Yeah, so I was on hormonal birth control for about like 7 or 8 years, and I really wanted to find a way to have a more natural approach to it. So I really like the app because I'm able to still know where I'm at in my cycle and be safe, but I don't have to take hormones every single day.
And as a man, I think it's important to understand this type of stuff because we don't live in a female body, and like I don't have this experience, so I think it's really important for me to like educate myself and learn. And this was definitely an experience where I was like, I know nothing about women and their cycles. And
you know nothing about women.
I know nothing about women. I literally do not. What I found was really fascinating with the Natural Cycles app is like it's FDA cleared. It's a certified contraceptive in the European Union. Supposedly it's 98% effective with perfect use and 93% effective with typical use. And a condom is 87% effective. That kind of intrigued me as well. I've had friends who have had pregnancy scares, who almost had children, and even friends who actually did have children, even when they were using a contraceptive device. You're young and you're not trying to have kids, sometimes it's good to be smart. We kind of learn how it works, right? It takes the data from the Oura Ring, it puts it in the Natural Cycles app, and then you can actually share that data. So I have a male version of the app where it says use protection here, and then JC has a female version of the app, which is a little different, and that's the female side of the app. This is the partner, and then this is the person who actually is using the device, and then if you just kind of scroll down on each app, you can see how it's a little different. I see a lot less data than she does, and she can select which data she wants to share with me.
And it has your day of the cycle. So today is my cycle, day 24. It has either red or green. So red is use protection because you're likely to be fertile, and green is you are good to not use protection, supposedly. And then it gives you your temperature. So today my temperature is 97.18 degrees Fahrenheit. You can go into it a little bit deeper. You can see what cycle phase you're in. So right now I am in it's waiting to confirm my ovulation, so it's looking for a temperature to rise above my baseline for a few days in a row, and then once it gets that data, it knows that I've ovulated. And then on the Insights tab, it shows your cycle length, it shows your period length, the percentage of green days versus red days, and then you can also add different things here. And you can see if you have had your period, you can add if you're sick or hungover because that affects your data, and then it will strike that out. You can add if you've had protected or unprotected sex. You can add different things like your sex drive, your skin, your pain, how you're feeling, and then any notes that you want to track, and it will keep that data in a graph so that you can view it over a month's time. It also has like a learning section of the app, which I personally don't use that much, but could be helpful. You probably
I
have
probably need it,
yeah,
right?
you probably need that section. It also shows you a graph. This part is cool to see. It shows you your temperature throughout your cycle, and then it shows you any indicators that you've added, and it will start to confirm your ovulation once it reaches that period.
And it shows you your green and your red days.
Yeah.
As well as any tracks, logs. That's cool. I think that's cool, the little graph.
I think the graph part is my favorite part of the app to see. And then you can also like compare it over a month's time. You can also see like different indicators of what you've entered. I feel like sometimes I forget to enter in like different moods, but it's cool because even if I forget to enter in something into the app, every day it still tracks my temperature, so I don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, so that's her side of the app, and then my side of the app is slightly different. So this is my side of the app. It kind of says use protection at the top, and it'll be green on green days, red on red days. I think the biggest value that I've seen is that if it's red, you're like, I need to make sure I'm using protection. If you are going to engage in these activities, I'm obviously a virgin, but on the calendar, I can see like predictions for like this week, like, okay, I know on February 1st, JC's not gonna be fertile. We've become really close friends, huh? And then there's an entire calendar where I can actually see her body temperature from the last days. Like I can actually scroll through and see any emojis that she's tagged. I don't know what they mean, but
My moods.
they're moods.
So Shervin knows it's my personal mood tracker. He knows when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling stressed.
I should probably do a better good job
You should probably
of
check
texting.
it, and then you should probably text me.
Clearly I haven't been doing a good
Clearly
job.
he hasn't.
Yeah, so then I can see, okay, oh, we're traveling next week to go somewhere. I can see that she's gonna be on her period from Tuesday to Saturday. And maybe that's just something to keep in mind. Or from February 1st to the 15th, oh, it's Valentine's Day on the 14th, she's gonna be green, great. Oh, that's interesting, all of March is red.
Yeah, I don't know. Some months I feel like it doesn't update properly, but I definitely, like my period is irregular and my cycles are irregular, so it, I think, is less helpful for me because from month to month, it projects more red days rather than green because it doesn't know. So it errs on the side of caution, which is good. But I think if you have a very regular menstrual cycle, or if you're dating someone that has a very regular menstrual cycle, it would work better. For me, it doesn't work to the best of its ability because a lot of days it's red because it's not sure.
Yeah. I think what also is interesting is like on the Oura Ring app, you can actually see body temperature is like a deviation. It's not the actual number, but on the Natural Cycles app, it gives you an actual number when you tap on the date.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like it will just say plus or minus 1.5, but you don't know your actual temperature.
And as a man, my body temperature will be relatively consistent because I'm not going through any kind of cycles, but as a female, there will be a trend based around your ovulation period. Yeah, we'll scroll through both of our temperatures and you can kind of see how it's slightly different. Mine's kind of like irregular where you have kind of waves, right? You have a little mini mountain. Okay, and also on my side of the app, like I can see the trackers. Oh, she's tired today, so let's go get her an extra coffee. And then there's a whole thing of saying what the definition for each of these icons mean. Oh yeah, the other thing is I can actually turn on notifications, so I can have the app notify me when it's a green day and I don't need to use protection or abstain. Or if it's the first red day and I need to make sure that I'm using protection. So if you're someone who wants to use protection but is not very good at it, like this app will notify you, and I think that can be a better motivator if you know that there's a certain subset of dates that you need to be extra diligent.
You can also add a widget to your home screen if you have the new iOS, so then you don't even have to go to the app and it will just show you on your home screen what day it is.
Yep. And there's also a way to get period approaching notifications, PMS is incoming, as well as a self-breast exam. So recently the Supreme Court decided that women shouldn't have rights. So people have been very diligent in terms of, should I put my cycle info into a period tracking app? Because if they can find out that you've had an abortion, they could send that data to the authorities. So I know Trevor Noah has mentioned like, delete all these apps. So that's something to keep in mind. I think a lot of things aren't protected by HIPAA sometimes, if it's not connected to your doctor in any sort of way, so just keep that in mind when you're downloading and using this app. And just note, this is not a cycle tracking app. I know there are cycle tracking apps that you can download which are purely for that. Like the Oura Ring has period prediction, and the Apple Watch has a cycle tracking feature built in. It's around ovulation planning and preventing pregnancy.
It's definitely a more holistic view. Like I think a lot of the period tracking apps or Oura just show you one piece of the picture, but this app kind of brings it all together and allows you to see everything in one place, which is really good.
And what have you found to be like the most valuable feature on the Natural Cycles app for you?
I think it's really helpful because there's 4 phases of your menstrual cycle. So you have follicular, you have ovulatory, luteal, and menstrual, which we can talk about more later. But each phase is for a certain number of days, and you can kind of guess like what phase you're in based on the amount of days that it's likely to be. For example, like 7 to 10 days, 3 to 4 days, you don't know for sure. And this app, because it tracks your temperature, really gives you an accurate view of where you're at in your cycle so that you can better plan your workouts and better plan like your diet and then get better fitness results, which is good.
Speaking of that, maybe we should head to the gym and get a little workout in, and we'll talk more about cycle tracking and cycle syncing at the gym.
Nice.
All right, we have changed and now we're gonna go work out.
And I did ask JC to match me just because it would look better for the video, right?
Yeah, we have that dress.
See, so JC's really good. She uses protection, but I don't. What's your comment on that?
My comment is that you're gonna have a beat. Shervin is on a journey to get me to try creatine. So I tried it and I progressed more in 2 weeks than I have in 5 months. So
Yeah. It's not a drug, by the way. It's a great thing to take.
Is a fuel source for early in bouts of activity, for high intensity activity. It is also a fuel source for neurons in the brain, and it can have some cognitive enhancing effects.
What do the phases mean, and like how does it change you?
yeah, so follicular phase is the first one. So in follicular, your temperature starts to slowly start to rise. Your estrogen is starting to rise. You feel like you can do moderate intensity workouts. You're starting to have more energy. Then ovulatory phase, that's when your estrogen is at its highest. That's when you're the most fertile, so you'll see that in the app. That's when you can do the highest intensity workouts. You feel amazing, you feel confident, you have high energy, you feel really social. Then after the ovulatory phase, it goes to the luteal phase. This is where you start to kind of peak off. You'll go into having PMS symptoms probably. You'll feel a little bit more tired. You'll start to slowly taper your workouts because your progesterone is rising. And then in your menstrual phase, this is when you feel the most tired, and you'll have your estrogen and progesterone be the lowest. So then that's when you need to support your body and rest, eat a lot of iron-rich foods, and then it will start to repeat its cycle again in the follicular phase. So in the app,
What phase are you in right now?
so right now I'm in the end of the follicular phase going into the ovulatory phase, so it's waiting to confirm my ovulation based on my temperature, and then this is when I can like perform at my peak and I have the highest amount of energy.
And how do you use, like, do you actually change your workouts because of that?
So I mean, I do a strength training split every week, so it's kind of hard for me to adjust it to cycle syncing, but now that I've been using Natural Cycle for the last 3 months, it's definitely motivating me to try to cycle sync, support my body during times where my hormones are lower, because every day I'm checking the app and it's like, you know, you need to adjust your intensity of your workout to have better results based on your hormones during that time period.
So then is it the creatine or is it the cycle syncing?
That's for you to decide. It might be the creatine, it might be the cycle syncing, and we'll never know.
All right, we're gonna go into the sauna now. I'm gonna talk about, has this actually changed our lives after 3 months? Does it actually change your behavior? What did you say? Your boyfriend said he doesn't even trust it?
We just finished our first sauna round, and I kind of want to talk about how has it actually changed your life and behavior? Like, do you do anything differently because of this information?
For me personally, since my cycles are pretty irregular, it's hard for me to trust the app's algorithm because a lot of the days I think it errs on the side of caution and gives me red rather than green. So for my personal usage, I think that I use it more to understand where I'm at in my cycle, so that I can focus on that cycle syncing piece that I talked about, because if your cycles are irregular, I think it's not the safest method to trust it using, like, if you're fertile versus not fertile. But I think if you have very regular periods over a long period of time, it is very accurate, and I think it's a good method for birth control. But for me personally, I use it more for the cycle syncing aspect.
For me, or at least what my friend has told me from their experience, is like having the red and green days is really valuable because like you can be extra diligent on the red days versus the green days. You can still be diligent, it gives you a little more freedom. And when it's like a limited time that you have to be extra careful, it's easier, whereas thinking you always need to be careful. So if that kind of helps you, then this app can be valuable. But the price is like $13 a month or $90 a year on top of buying the ring, which is $300 plus another $6 a month. So it kind of adds up.
But birth control isn't free. So like if you're on hormonal birth control, I used to pay over $20 a month for my hormonal birth control. So if you're gonna make the swap, it is a comparable price to normal birth control.
From what we've talked about, it seems like it could be a decent option. We'll have links below if you're interested for the Oura Ring and Natural Cycles. And I'll have JC's podcast linked below, as well as her Instagram. Go check her out. She has some really cool health and wellness, like mindfulness content.
This has been 7th grade health 101, and do with it what you will.
Recalibrate. Since you enjoyed this video, go watch my review of the Oura Ring after 100 days. It'll be linked right here.